Hey everybody, Lisa Daly here, and today I have the fabulously talented Andrea Carter with me, and I'm super excited about. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you, Lisa. Very pleased to be here.
It's so, I love your series. Tell me if I'm saying this right. It's the Inishowen, is that right? Inishowen Mystery Series?
Inishowen Mysteries.
So I've been basically saying it wrong for a long time. Inishowen. That's okay by the end of today. We're all going to know this. Everybody with us, say it together. Inishowen.
Inishowen.
Okay. So I am just really delighted to have you here. This series has just been incredibly popular, both in Ireland and the UK, where you live, as well as here in the US. So tell me a little bit about your background, and then we'll talk about the book series, and in particular, the new one that you have coming out.
Well, my background before I was a writer is in law. So I studied law in Trinity College in Dublin, and then I qualified as a solicitor. Our profession in Ireland is split into solicitors and barristers, whereas you in the States have attorneys. Mm-hmm. And so I moved to the Inishowen Peninsula, which is the most northerly peninsula in Ireland. And I eventually set up a law practice there. Running the most northerly solicitors practice in the country, like my character. As a friend of mine said, last legal advice before Iceland, which is geographically correct, in fact. And so I worked there and ran my practice there for quite some time. I was living there for a total of 11 or 12 years. And I started to write while I was working there. And I started to write really just as a stress reliever, as something to keep me away from a bottle of wine at night. If I was worried about something, I would open up the computer, it was at that stage, and start to write scenes, which I never, ever thought would be ever seen by anybody else. But they have been.
And they have been. Well, and so this seems like a really, like, they haven't just been seen. This series is in production for a TV crime series, right?
That's right. Yes. The first three books were optioned by a German-Irish co-production, and they're in development for television, for a television series. And I've seen the script for the first book, and I've been asked to work on the script for the second. So it's very exciting, really.
That's excellent. And just to be clear, the TV series will be in English, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, absolutely. So that is so exciting.
It is. It's very exciting.
Right, just to think of this thing that you did for fun and stress relief is now not only a popular, really popular book series, but also something that people are going to even more people will be able to fall in love with through the TV series. That's like the dream.
It is. It was particularly exciting when the producer emailed me and asked me if I would do two things for her. One was to put together a list of the real and imagined locations in my books, so that she and a scout could go up to Inishowen and visit all of these locations that I had written about.
Wow.
And that was very exciting because I was able to go through my books and indicate which beaches I was talking about, or which cliffs, or which deserted fort inspired this fictional one. And the second thing that was very exciting was that she asked me if I were to choose a well-known actor to play each of the parts, who would I choose? And there was a kind of a lottery element to that, winning the lottery. I mean, who I chose wouldn't necessarily be the people who would be acting them, but what she wanted to know was how I saw these characters in my head, because to a large extent, I don't do a lot of physical description in the books. I like people to imagine how they would like these characters to look themselves, or how they see them. And so that was great, because she needed to know how old they were, or how I saw them.
So who's sort of the lottery dream actress that you had in mind for your main character? Oh, you won't tell us.
I'm not allowed to say.
Woo! Well, that makes sense, because if I'm trying to think of like who I would cast in that. If this person is not available, then we don't want to make the new actress feel like she was the
Yes.
same. Yes, right.
And also, in fact, it's not even so much who plays Ben O'Keefe that seems to interest people. It's who will play Malloy,
right.
the sergeant.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah. And every time I do a writer's event, either here or in the UK or in the States, online at the moment, but I'm always asked who I imagine would play Malloy. And I never answer it, because the person who asks the question always has their own idea who would play Malloy, and I don't want to ruin it for them.
Well, we all appreciate that. Well, speaking of imaginary and real locations, Murder at Greysbridge, which is your new book. This is the 4th book in the series.
That's right.
And this is, this is coming out very, very soon. This is going to be coming out in November. There's a pretty, one of the locations is actually almost a character itself, and that is this fantastic hotel. And so is there a real life inspiration for the Greysbridge Hotel, or does it actually exist, and can I book a vacation there?
No, I don't think you'd want to book a vacation. considering
I don't know. I like some weird stuff. So
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you'd want to hope that you're one of the suspects and not one of the victims,
right?
Wouldn't
right,
you?
Exactly. Or the
no, there's no such place as Greysbridge, and in fact, for people who live in Inishowen, I have had to sort of indicate that I am aware of the fact that they would be able to work out which road this hotel would be located on, because they all will be able to work it out, because of the view of the island that you can get from this hotel. And that I know it doesn't exist, and I know that there couldn't be a big hotel there because of the coastline. So no, it's very much a figment of my imagination, but it's probably an accumulation of quite a few similar, not hotels, but buildings, old houses in Ireland. And there was one particularly spooky deserted mansion in the south of the country that I did think about a lot while I was writing about Greysbridge. There are also elements of my parents' house in it. Some of the objects that you'll find are from my parents' house, because my parents live in an old schoolhouse, a Victorian schoolhouse, which is most definitely haunted.
Wow. That's probably what brought you to what you're doing now, your current profession.
I think it may be, yes.
I think that's so. I mean, really, the Greysbridge it feels so vivid and so real. And this is something that a lot of people, readers and reviewers, say about your book, that they're character-driven stories, but they have a really powerful sense of place. So tell us a little bit about this, about the story as far as Murders at Greysbridge. I mean, you've given us a little bit of idea. There's a murder, and there are, the suspects are in the hotel. But tell us a little bit about what happens in the story.
Well, this story is, I'd always wanted to write a country house murder mystery, or an homage to the country house murder mystery from the golden age of crime fiction. And so this is my attempt at it, or a modern version of it. And in this, it is about a wedding that takes place over a weekend. And things go badly wrong over the course of the weekend, and the suspects are trapped there for a certain period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the action moves to an island where people become trapped because of a storm. So I'm very much running with the kind of, not quite a locked door mystery, but very much the kind of limited cast of suspects, and the claustrophobia attached to being in an old house and not being allowed to leave, or being trapped on an island and not being allowed to leave. And those are the two kind of locations in the book. I think the inspiration came from my grandmother. My grandmother always thought that she had the gift of second sight, and she always believed that a place absorbed what had happened there, and that you could mark it out as a place of happiness, or of tragedy, or of fear, or and that you could sense whether a place was a good place or an evil place when you walked into it. And she was the first person who my parents brought to see this wreck of a house they decided they were going to restore. And she said, "Oh, this is a happy house. I can feel the children's spirits." It was a schoolhouse and there were Victorian kids there, but she said it was a happy school for the most part. However, there was a stretch of road close to where I lived, in the Midlands of Ireland, a very rural place. And she would drive 25 miles out of her way to avoid this particular stretch of road, because she said something awful had happened there and she just couldn't drive it. So I think I don't think I've inherited my grandmother's gift, but I certainly do believe that, you can walk into particularly a building and know whether it's a good place or something bad has happened there. You can sense it,
Right. You can sort of feel the energy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
But it's almost as if the walls have absorbed it. And so I think that's where my inspiration for Greysbridge came from, because something tragic happens during the course of the book, but it's a tragic place. It's a tragic house. It's a house where bad things have happened in the past. So
it's so good. You are, your series have been really, really popular with book clubs. And one comparison that you get a lot is Agatha Christie. How do you feel about that?
Thrilled. Wouldn't anybody be thrilled to be compared to Agatha Christie? Agatha Christie was my idol when I was, a teenager, and she still is. I'm actually rereading a lot of the Agatha Christies at the moment. And it's amazing how well they stand up. Some less so than others, but wow, what a collection of books. So that's very, very flattering. I think people can be quite snooty about her, and they sort of say, well, her books they're just a puzzle, it's all about the plot. But in fact, some of her characterization was really clever, and she had, some of her characters had real depth. But yeah, she was brilliant, and she's brilliant on poisons, which I appreciate.
That's great. That is really such a something that only a fan would really right. So I think that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Murder at Greysbridge is absolutely fantastic. You definitely want to read it. It is coming out in the United States November 2nd, 2021. And if you would like to read an arc and get a chance to read this book before it comes out, you can just click the link below. All right. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're awesome, and we are so glad to have you here today. And best of luck with Murder at Greysbridge.
Thank you very much. Lovely to talk to you, Lisa.
You too.